really high. I am at the airport. I don't know if this is working. I'm sure the United States is completely asleep. So I will check the YouTube channel and see if it's actually working. There's good internet here at the airport, so it should be working this time. But let's see how many people we'll have watching, because my earlier attempt to do the stream completely failed. So I'll need, hopefully, at least one person is watching, and I can get confirmation how is the audio video, because I don't have anyone on with me. So I don't know how good the audio video is. All right, someone's on. Thanks, Louis. And it's hard. I have no idea when It's Hard sleeps, but he seems to catch every single live I do, no matter what hour. So awesome. Thanks, man. Okay, yeah, I'm holding the laptop. I'm literally on my lap because there's no desk. I'm in a tiny little airport. And let's go to the charts. I am flying to the capital of Cambodia, Phnom Penh. I can never pronounce it right. And I'll be there for a couple of days. So if anyone happens to be in Cambodia, hit me up. All right, let's go to the charts. Let's see what's going on. Wait, how do I turn the charts on? It's so hard to do this with just one monitor. Okay, here we go. Charts are up. This is the 2-month look. I really didn't like the fact that we flipped into a red count. And earlier this is a 1-month look. I didn't like that we flipped to a red count. And earlier this month, we even had a red star candle. The red star candle has now turned into a normal candle. But we're still going to need at least 2 more months before we get a green count and then a green price flip. So hopefully we get a second green star candle. Not, well, well, okay, so we can't get a green star candle next month. I mean, we could, but we need to be over 100,000. So the most likely scenario is next candle is still going to be a red 3. Then the following month, which is going to be, so next month is May. The following month of June, we get our first green 1. And then only in July will we get a green star candle. The lower the green star candle is, the better it is for entry of positions. So basically, if we are breaking $100,000 in July, that is the best case scenario, because it sets us up from going from 100,000 in July to 200,000 by Q1 of next year. That would be the ideal scenario. What is this chart telling me? It's actually telling me absolutely nothing, because we are in a red count without a red star. So according to the monthly scale, you should do nothing. Now, what about the weekly scale? What should we do based on the weekly scale? Well, the MACD is telling you to remain bearish. The RSI is telling me to remain bearish. The CMF is telling me to remain bearish. However, the EXA is telling me to be bullish. That is a little bit of a contradiction. The volume being almost 0 and as low as it's been is telling me to do nothing. That is what the oscillators are telling me. Now, what about the price action and other things on the chart? Well, the MRI is telling me to be a little bit patient and probably be bullish next week when a green star candle shows up. But remember, we had an MRI buy 3 weeks ago. So the MRI is actually telling me to be in a bullish trade and stay bullish and ignore all of those oscillators. The moving averages are telling me there's a high probability that the low is in, and this bounce off of the 50 period moving average. I think that's the 50. Yeah, that's the 50. This is the weekly chart, right? So this bounce off of the 50 period moving average is telling me that it's very, very likely the low is in and we're rallying to the upside. And just like the last time we got supported by this moving average, we broke out and went up like 30% to significant new all-time highs. But it was the second time we reached the moving average. It's possible we may have to hit it one more time, but I don't want to see that because that becomes a triple bottom, and that's a very dangerous scenario. I wouldn't mind hitting the 50 period moving average after a rejection at 1,000 and then come back and touch it somewhere in the low 90s. But right now, I don't want to see a double touch of the 50 period moving average. Let me just make sure that's the 50 period moving average. All right, why is it not coming up? I don't know why my moving average settings aren't working, so I'm assuming that's the 50 period moving average. All right, let me open your live chat, see if anything interesting is there. From where am I streaming? I'm at the Siam Reap Airport, which is the airport closest to Angkor Wat. Follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna probably after the stream, I'm gonna try to post my Angkor Wat footage from yesterday. I was at Rad Patio yesterday, but I didn't eat there. I was just drinking alcohol. All right, let's go on to the. Okay, so we are sitting right at resistance based on this trend line. I don't think this is a very strong trend line. So this being resistance is not really bothersome for me. I think the bigger area of resistance is the declining 20 period moving average at 91.5. And I will be watching that area carefully. Let's go to the daily chart. So once again, let me start with the oscillators and see what they say. Well, unlike the weekly chart, the MACD on a daily chart is very, very bullish, telling me to be very confident in my bullish trade. The RSI is equally as bullish, telling me to be very confident in the bullish trade. The the CMF is actually also pretty damn bullish, telling me to be confident in the bullish trade. And the EXA is getting a little overextended. Whoa, getting very overextended, but it's telling me to still stay confident in the bullish trade. So everything is bullish according to the oscillators. The volume on yesterday's candle was very strong, and it happened to be a green star candle, and it happened to be a bit of a breakaway from the moving averages. So this is all a very, very good sign. We are, however, sitting at the 200-day moving average rejection point. So that is a point of concern. It would have been nice if the 200 period moving average was somewhere in the $85,000 range, not in the $88,000 range. So that is a little bit concerning. The bigger concern, however, is the fact that we are once again at a double top. Now, this is a very short-term concern, not a long-term concern. So let's go back to these arrows that I drew the last time I did this video. We are sitting right at the rejection point, and I would love to see a pullback into the moving averages before coming back for the fourth time to the horizontal area of resistance and then breaking out into the $92,500 range. What I don't like here is the fact that because we went up so much yesterday, it was a green star candle, an overextended green star candle, and I have a little bit of a dilemma here. Do I trust the horizontal and 200-day moving average rejection, or do I trust the green star candle of the MRI plus all the oscillators being bullish? Um, to be honest, it's about 50-50. I wish this green star candle was down here. Like, I kind of wish the price of Bitcoin was at 86,000 right now, not at 88,000, because that would allow me to be bullish into 88, 89,000 into the end of the week, where it can line up with an MRI top. So I am going to lean on the side of caution, and I'm going to say that we are likely short-term topping here, and it is unlikely we will reach an MRI top. Unlikely means it doesn't mean that it can't happen, but unless we close above the 200 period moving average and then spend an entire candle above the 200 period moving average, I'm going to still take the cautionary position that we are ready to get rejected here in the $88,000 range, pull back to 84 to $85,000 range, and then challenge 88 and a half once again. And the next time it gets challenged, it gets broken. So I'm slightly leaning to this position, but the MRI is a very strong indicator. So going all the way up and topping at an MRI top as high up as 92,000 by end of this week, or by end of Sunday, I guess, is not unreasonable. Let me just put it that way. All right, I'm going to open up your live chat once again and see if there's anything interesting there. I'll take a look at the 4-hour in a minute. Golden DXY. All right, I'll try and take a look. All right, here's that 4-hour MRI chart. Now, this MRI top is happening in consolidation. If this MRI top happened up here in the 89 plus $1,000 range, I would absolutely see it as a selling opportunity, but it's already happening in consolidation. So this MRI top to me is more bullish than bearish. Now, keep in mind, we are still in the extension zone from the last MRI top we had. To me, this current MRI top is similar to the last MRI top, and this MRI top is even more bullish than the last MRI top. The last MRI top came after a massive run up, but we already had 3 candles of consolidation. Once you add the candle following the MRI top, that is now 4. Well, technically that's 3 candles of consolidation, but the 4th candle of equal tops. And then you had a green star candle, and then you consolidated a little bit of an up, a little bit of a down, another green star candle, and a run up into the next MRI top. I think this current MRI top leans even slightly more bullish than the last one. But don't forget the daily chart just above it is definitely more toppy than the 4-hour chart is bullish. Sorry, this is the 1-hour chart, not a 4-hour chart, but everything I said is valid for the candles we're looking at. Now let's go look at a 4-hour chart. We wait for the MRI. Okay, so once again, this is a 4-hour MRI top in consolidation. I know we had a run up on the prior candle, but the real run up came on the green star candle, and we are sitting at the same price as 1, 2, 3, 4 candles ago. The good news is that we have broken the MRI resistance zone on this 4-hour chart, and that is also bullish. However, because we let me see here. Oh man, let me try this again. However, because we dropped down and reached new highs from a low, um, the market seems to look a little exhausted from the 4 hour perspective. I can easily see a 1 to 4 candle correction on a 4 hour chart, maybe even is as bad as pulling all the way down to 85. The last time I did this video, I drew these arrows, and as you can see, the market behaved a little bit weaker than the arrows that I drew. So what did the market do? Well, it did exactly what I expected. It just did it, a few days later. So if I simply move these arrows over, this is what I expected, but it didn't do only that. There's too many moving averages here. Let me turn some of them off. Wait, click the wrong button. But this is what I kind of expected that I drew before. But what the market did was it went up higher. Okay, so because it went up higher, it it, it means it can still go back down, maybe not as much down. So I will just adjust. And because I don't want to cheat, I'm going to just delete this arrow. Because otherwise, when I look at this chart in a few days, I'm going to say what an awesome call that was. So I'm going to delete that one. I only like to draw my arrows from the moment I see the situation. And now what I can do is, now that we have more data, I can go ahead and raise that line. And I can go ahead and lower this arrow like that. So something like this, based on a 4 hour chart, seems very, very reasonable. So that's a pretty good sign. We're still doing very, very poorly on our cycle chart. Oil is not that interesting at the moment. By the way, I took a look at what the Biden administration is doing in the oil markets. And you can see the Biden administration, after a very short pause, has continued to buy small amounts of oil into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Gold is on an epic rally. This is great. However, we managed to not top when I expected us to top last month. And now it's a bigger exponential blow off top. So I am expecting us to top this month. We are on an extension C. And look at the weekly. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a weekly MRI top. Man, I still have some gold coins. It is so tempting to go and sell these gold coins. It is also very tempting for me to short the gold market in the futures market. Uh, that's going to be so tempting. I need to remember to keep an eye on this. It can even top next month, or it can even top this month. Sorry, this week or next week. What's today's date? Today is, how many weeks we have left? Yeah, gold could go into May, but I think we're going to top sometime next week. I just can't see gold continuing to go up exponentially. And remember, Bitcoin is not going up like this. So, very, very interesting. Let's look at the stock market. The stock market is still not recovering, and that means that Trump needs to do something. Uh, the stock market is going back down, but it's going back down in a very orderly fashion. This allows Bitcoin to counter trade the stock market, and Trump can't go into the end of the year with a shitty stock market. That just can't happen. It can't happen, guys. Actually, where's my stock market chart? I don't see it. I need to open it up. I don't know what happened to my stock chart. Why aren't things working? I'm trying to open a layout, but nothing is showing up. I would like to open the stock market chart, but I can't. So I don't know. I don't know. Here is a stock market chart, and the stock market looks very, very ugly. This is the monthly look, and it looks ugly. And here's the weekly look, and it also looks ugly. So we got a green diamond, and we had an MRI buy, but we're now trending down. So Trump's going to have to do something. He may have to remove capital gains, or he may have to, I don't know, come on his hands and knees begging China, and drop all tariffs. Like, I have no idea what he's going to do. But uh, if Trump has a bad year in the stock market this year, I mean, he's not going to accomplish anything for the rest of his time as the president, because everyone is going to line up against him, from his mega base to every politician, Republicans, Democrats. He's already taken away freedom of speech more than Biden ever did. So I think Trump is in serious, serious trouble. I am very disappointed with his presidency, to say the least. And I was there January 6th, too.
Sorry.
And I was there January 6th. Yeah. Um,
The emperor has no clothes.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, guys having chats here at the airport. It's always great. All right, what do we got here? We got, looks like there could be a short top in the dominance index. That's going to be interesting. We are at a massive swing high in the dominance index, and we're probably going to hit new all-time highs. If not this year, then for sure next year. And the biggest casualty is, of course, Ethereum, dropping like a stone. And the sooner that scam goes to zero, the better off humanity will be. And there it is. New massive swing low. Let me go to that is the weekly chart. Let me go to the monthly chart. We are on a second consecutive MRI buy. I mean, maybe you can save it, but that's the weekly chart. Here's the monthly chart. The monthly chart is approaching new 7-year low. Wow. Wow, that is beautiful. I could not be happier, actually. And that is a total disaster in the making, and it's great. All right, let me look at your live chat one more time. How did I not get jailed? That's a good question. Maybe one day I'll have an answer. Do you think if hyper Bitcoinization happens on a worldwide scale, the availability of Bitcoin will be squeezed too fast for one Satoshi equals $1 world? Something like BCH can fill the demand. No, BCH will not exist by the time that happens. It will absolutely collapse. BCH is insecure. It will have no mining. BCH will not exist by then. So the answer is no. Absolutely not. What happens if we run faster and higher this week above 100K due to gold topping out and dollars rotating into Bitcoin? Would be great. I'd love to see it. What's going to happen? Bitcoiners will be wealthier. That's the only thing that's going to happen. Okay. Let's look at DXY and then I'm going to call it a day. Trump is crashing the US dollar. Wow. So, I mean, that is what the government likes to do. A weaker US dollar is good for American exports. Not exactly sure what they're exporting. I don't know. Instagram subscriptions, but whatever it is, a weaker dollar helps Trump's economy, but it hurts the average consumer that likes to go abroad. It also shows weakness in the US economy. A weak dollar may help exports, but a weak dollar also shows that the world, what the world thinks about America, and they don't think, or Trump, and they're clearly thinking very low of Trump. Very curious on the Russian ruble. No, that's the Philippine peso. Where is the Russian ruble? There it is. The Russian ruble is strengthening versus the dollar, and that makes sense as the dollar. Because remember, DXY doesn't tell you versus the ruble. DXY is how the US dollar performs versus other Western nations. It doesn't tell you anything about potentially adversarial nations versus the US dollar. And the Chinese currency is too controlled, so we can't really use it as a guide. We can look at the Brazilian currency and the Indian currency. We can look at other BRICS. Brazil's currency is hanging in there, but it looks very, very weak. And what about the Indian rupee? That's the Mexican peso. Mexican peso is strengthening against the dollar. Here is the Indian rupee, and it is slightly strengthening against the dollar. But as I've been saying for years, the Indian rupee has been looking very weak against the US dollar. All right, guys, on this note, I'm going to call it a day. Thank you all so much for watching. One final look at your live chat. Do you think silver will pump due to gold's rise? No. As you guys know, I am very bearish on silver. I have always been bearish on silver relative to gold. If I could pull up my chart of silver, I would show you, but for some reason, I can't seem to pull it up. I can briefly glance at the silver as a commodity. Should be right there. Silver is rallying versus the US dollar. But remember, silver was $50 15 years ago, right? And silver was also $50. 45 years ago. So the next time silver reaches $50, that's going to be the top in silver. And after it reaches $50, it's going to fall to about $30. And then it's going to reach $50 again. By that time, gold is going to be over $5,000. Now, silver is just a total basket case compared to gold. And that's why if you look at the gold-silver ratio, that's why if you look at the gold-silver ratio, that's not going to work, is it? I can't pull up my old charts. That's why if you look at the gold silver ratio, it's off the charts. I mean, this ratio goes way further back than this. I just have to find, the right tickers. There we go. It can go a lot further back than this. I mean, I have a chart that goes all the way back to the 1930s. And this is what I've been saying for years and years and years and years, that the gold silver ratio will hit new all-time highs. This ratio is going to go to infinity. It's going to break 200 very, very soon. I'm not surprised. It is topping based on the MRI. So silver can have a little bit of a rally, gold's going to pull back, but at the end of the day, um, silver is nothing compared to gold. And I have done numerous videos on this. I have gone into great detail on this. I'm not going to do it on this particular stream, but those of you that have watched me long enough know that while silver can definitely go up, it is completely irrelevant compared to gold. It is literally the Litecoin or Ethereum to Bitcoin. That's what silver is to gold. It makes absolutely no sense to hold silver on a long-term basis versus gold. You hold you hold the gold. You don't hold silver. If you want to speculate on silver, if you think silver is going to pop a greater percentage point over the next week, month, year, maybe year is stretching it, but over the next, hours, days, weeks, maybe months, you can buy and hold silver. You can also short silver in that situation. If you are looking for a longer term, stable, precious metal, there is only gold. There is nothing else there. Just like in the crypto space, there is only Bitcoin. There is nothing else there. I mean, treat silver the way you would treat Litecoin, the way you would treat Ethereum, the way you would treat Bitcoin Cash, the way you would trade. BSV is pushing it a little bit. Silver is way more useful, but it's more useful than BSV as well. Silver is a real metal, and you can trade it short term. It's a very useful metal if you have a use case for it. I mean, maybe as silverware, maybe as fabric in your clothes. It has very specific properties that could be utilized as uh, like it's what's the word I'm looking for? Like germ-proof properties. Uh, I mean, there's a reason why it's called, a silver spoon, or rich kids have like a silver spoon in their mouth. There's a reason for this. Silver is not useless, but it is useless if you're going to treat it as a long-term money hedging investment. You only gold. That's it. That's the only one. I've been saying this for about 10 years now, and you can see by the gold silver ratio, I have been accurate for 10 years. All right. Thank you all for watching, guys. I will see you all on the next stream. Bye, guys.